So, a very good evening from East Africa, Uganda. We are having a discussion on energy, and I'm here with my colleague, Mr. Bruce, a seasoned architect, also known as the townist. Mr. Bruce, you're welcome. Maybe you can have a word or two to before we dive into our discussion.
Yes, listeners, I'm very thankful and glad to join you, Comrade Chiza Microwise, the one with the wisest name, Microwise.
You know that name brings a lot of controversy. But if you try to understand the microwise, you need to use the little knowledge you have, expound it into something big.
So it has to do with the microscope or something.
I don't know. We are not going in that direction. Those are things for the young kids in primary. So I am here with Mr. Bruce. He's a seasoned architect, and this is a man who is more interested in the social affairs. And today we are going to mainly discuss about the crisis that is engulfing South Sudan. Mr. Bruce, I believe you've met some South Sudanese around here in Kampala, and I don't know if you have friends that are South Sudanese, but of recent, their money, the trading of their money with the dollar has hiked. And when I was interacting with some of them, they said the main reason is to do with the pipeline. But when you look at South Sudan, South Sudan is not at war. It is a peaceful country at the moment. But what I think is the issue is with the northern Sudan, where the pipeline is going straight into the ocean. Have you heard about those news?
Well, these are things that happen, and they have economic repercussions in one way or the other. So given that we are on an energy platform, so we pick interest.
Yes.
And going by what you've said, you have engaged South Sudanese. This is the average person, the person on the, generally the citizen. They are telling you that life has changed in one way or the other. There has been an economic challenge with their currency rates, and so you are even coming on to affirm it that it has to do with the crisis of the pipeline, which has been affected and attacked due to the war situation. So ideally, we very well know that for a nation to thrive, you look at four aspects: politics, the economics, and then which other front? The environment. You look at also the social. This has to do with socio-economic.
Actually, you've spoken about something that I kind of pick interest in. Now, if you were to talk about the politics that you said first, how do you think the politics in northern Sudan is affecting the economy in South Sudan at the moment? From what you've seen or what you've read, how do you interpret it?
So we talk of North Sudan. This is this country that borders South Sudan on the north.
Yes.
So apparently, it appears the pipeline goes through Sudan to the Mediterranean, is it?
Yes, these are things that were done initially when the country was one as a whole, and then that time they had to make the pipeline, and they use that route at the moment.
Right.
But you realize that at the moment, South Sudan is at peace, but then the northern Sudan is having some political insurgencies.
Yes.
But you can imagine how South Sudan is being affected by all this, yet they are not involved.
Exactly.
Now, how does politics come in and now affect another country which is not part of the war?
Of course, politics, this is, I can call it, just like you see we have senses. So this is a sense, another sense. So this sense, the political sense, creates peace. So when there is peace, there is an environment environment of life. When there is peace, there is a threshold for development.
Yes.
So in other words, Sudan's absence of Sudan's peace,
Yes.
the Khartoum,
Yes. The northern.
Yes. So it has created a drawback problem in South Sudan because this is a landlocked country.
Yes.
And they,
just like Uganda.
Yes, and they intend to achieve all their economic how do you call this? This bloodline. Their economic support, blood support, is through Sudan.
Through the north.
Through the north.
Yes.
So if now there is a crisis in Sudan, there is instability. Apparently, we have two groups. This is well known even worldwide. The two contending power factions. You have the ruling government, those allied to
yes, you know, government. Politics for every country there is always the leading group and the opposition.
Exactly.
And that is something that always affects. But for this point, South Sudan is very peaceful.
Yes.
But the insurgents in the northern is what is affecting. So, Mr. Bruce, I think we are going to have a short break. And when we come back, we are going to discuss on how much the South Sudan depends so much. From the statistics, I think I stand to be corrected. But I think South Sudan funds, most of its money comes from oil export. I think about 98% of their economy is from the oil export.
All right.
So I think we are going to take a short break, and then we come back and we can discuss about the effect of depending on oil up to 98%. I'm imagining Uganda depending on oil up to 98%. This is something that will sink most of us. What opportunities can they look at in the future so that they can reduce that percentage from 98 up to maybe a minimum going forward, so that they are not affected in future. So we are going to have a short break and we are going to come back.